Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Megan, and today I'm going to be discussing season 2 of Nobody Wants This. I finally finished it after a decade, and I have a lot of thoughts on it, so I wanted to share it with you. So let's get into it. I have a notepad here with notes to make sure that I get through all the things that I want to talk about. Overall, I don't want to say a little disappointed, but this season definitely made me sad. I don't know if it was just because there was a lot of parts that felt very real. And I don't know if that was it. Not entirely sure, but the first episode was so good. I think it was probably my favorite episode of the season. The dinner party was just chef's kiss. Like all the chaotic things that were happening. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I had high hopes for the season after that episode, and then it kind of like went up and down after that. I think because I feel from the first season to the second season, Noah and Joanne, the communication just did not feel the same as in the first season. They feel like they're communicating, but they're also like miscommunicating with each other. And then like Morgan was getting on my nerves as well. So that's like a whole nother thing. Around episode 5 is when I got the most annoyed because that is when they went to Abby's house, and I feel Joanne and Morgan, for being people who are in their mid to late 30s and Joanne could be 40, I feel that they lack tact and they're just so disrespectful. Like, why are you mad when you go over to someone else's house to take your shoes off? Like, that is like a normal thing to do. When you go to other places that's not your own home, you respect the rules that are there at that person's house because it's not yours. And so that really annoyed me. And then like when Morgan came, and they were just so disrespectful to Abby, and I was just so irritated. I had to like skim through the episode because I just couldn't stand the mean girlness vibe that I was getting from them. I feel like I was like in high school or something. And like I said, these people are grown adults. I don't know what it's like to live in Los Angeles, and so I don't know if this is just like a reflective of reality out there. I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like they were just mean girls the entire episode. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is like turning me away of everything. But then I skimmed through all that stuff and I saw the scene with Noah and Joanne, and I was relieved after that a little bit because Joanne, I thought this was a very sweet moment where she admitted that she does want what Abby and her husband have. She does want to have a kid. And it was interesting how she said that she's established now, which I thought was a really good point because I think in the millennial generation, we're told like career, career, career before, settling down. And I think even if you want to get married right away out of college or in your 20s or whatever, if you find that person you want to spend the rest of your life with, I don't think there's anything wrong with just having kids or staying home as a mom. And so I thought that was just like really like reflective and relatable in a way, because that's kind of what our generation is being told, or we're just getting married later on in life, which I don't know if there's anything wrong with that. It's just we've been told like so career oriented, where we feel like we have to establish ourselves first before we can find someone to then settle down with. And so I thought that was like really cool and really reflective. And there are some people who I know who were in their 20s and they were just like, I'm never gonna get married, never have kids. And then like 10 years later, they're like, my perspective has changed. Like I really want this. I said I didn't want it before, but I really want it now. And I don't know, I think that's just really cool. Like, as much as I was like bashing the part of the show, finishing through it, you see the growth of the girls. And I just have to remind myself sometimes, and some people say this to me, is that you may learn things at a younger age than other people, and they may be learning things at an older age that you learned at a younger age, and vice versa. And so I just have to remind that to myself, is that maybe Morgan and Joanne haven't maybe learned, certain things that maybe I have learned in my 20s, and they're in their late 30s and still haven't learned it yet. But life is all about learning. Life is about trial and error and not always getting it right, but eventually, keep pushing through and just learning. It's all trial and error. And so for me, just kind of looking back at the season as a whole, like I feel like Joan has grown in that way and kind of, taken, the cynical person that she could be, and, realize there's like beauty in other ways of doing things, and really letting down her guard and growing. And I think she's grown a lot with Noah in this relationship and just being open to other things and finally dealing with all the suppressed emotions that she had from her childhood with her parents and everything. and that, there is beauty in, not having that same experience that her parents had given her. And so, yeah, it was just like really beautiful at the end. But like I said, it was just so sad. It reminded me of like watching Shameless sometimes, where things get so real and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is so much like reality, that it's like hitting me hard. And I feel that happened a little bit in the latter episodes of Nobody Wants This, because every couple was having issues. And in my mind, I'm thinking it kind of reflects like dating and relationships today, because there's so many people that probably see wrong things in their relationship, but they don't really know what to do about it. They don't know whether to communicate with their partner, or they don't know when to walk away, which Joanne did mention about her parents. Like, it probably should have never happened, or it should happen a while ago, and some people stay in it for their kids, and because they're already married, they're already committed to that. Whereas Joanne and Noah are not even engaged yet. So there's an opportunity there to realize like, hey, our values don't even like match. It's specifically like on a religious standpoint, considering she's atheist and he's Jewish, and he's also a rabbi, so he's dedicated to his religion, no matter what. And not realizing like, hey, neither of us are willing to sacrifice. Maybe it's better if we do go our own ways. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, with coming to that conclusion. They love each other so much, and you can definitely have a separation there in terms of having one person who is religious and one person who's not religious marry, but like not forcing the other person to sacrifice. I'm pretty sure there's probably some ways for it to work. I just think probably realistically, normally that doesn't really happen. And so when you're dating outside of your norm and you're just like, I have no idea how to handle this situation, you're going to make mistakes. You're probably going to go back and forth, which is what this season was. It was very similar to the first season, but it was just a continuation. So I'm kind of giving the creator grace in this season, because I know it's inspired by her love story with her husband. So I don't know like much background of that, but maybe there were up and down times in their relationship, whether they were going to work or not work. And if they're going to get 3 or 4 seasons out of this, maybe for us as an audience, it's just about their journey to get to the end, which could be her converting to Judaism. And maybe that's what we are seeing. We're kind of seeing it slow, but you're seeing the ups and downs of the struggle of this relationship. I was contemplating whether or not this relationship in this back half of the second season, whether it was like toxic or not, because they were like communicating, but like miscommunicating with each other. And I'm like, this isn't healthy at all. I'm like, maybe they should just walk away. And I feel like that's kind of hard with people today in relationships too, is that like, have the courage to walk away if something isn't working. And that's okay if it isn't, but don't continue progressing this 6-month relationship or however many months it's been, and then realize a year and a half or 2 years down the line that it's like, oh my gosh, it's not going to work. We should address these head on, which I'm thinking that Noah is probably scared about that, because I feel like I don't know if he's like in denial or something, or he's like afraid to fully speak his mind as well. And Joanne is holding back on certain things, and then they like don't want to talk about it, and then they do want to talk about it, and I'm just like, I'm stressed out watching this relationship. And then Morgan and her fiance guy, and then Esther and Sasha, that's another interesting pair. It's just like everyone is just having their moments in the relationship, and it just felt kind of real in terms of how the generations deal with relationship and dating today. It was just crazy. So I'm interested to see if the ending is going to be her converting to Judaism. The other thing is that I feel like she is being pressured into converting to Judaism. And I don't like, going back to the disrespect from earlier, I don't like how the mom was just so into converting. And in my mind, converting to any religion is a huge and serious thing. And I feel that they didn't underline how serious it is to convert to a religion. I just don't, that just like irks me a little bit, because I feel like you're disrespecting it in a way, because you're just thinking like anybody can join, which anybody in reality probably could join a religion, but there's a lot of meaning and the way you live your life behind it. And so you really have to be serious and like dedicated to live through your values. And so I'm just a little like worried about that. But I think always, too, we can learn a lot from Faith. And I like how Noah is having an effect on Joanne and her family. And I love to see like different perspectives come together and different values and how they can learn from each other and grow as people. And I think that both sides are kind of learning that. And I just kind of see the overall impact that all these characters are having by being in each other's lives. Like even Esther, towards the end, like supporting Joanne. Who would have thought that she would be supporting Joanne, when she's coming to the Jewish, traditions or events or anything like that. And so they're kind of all coming together in a way, which is actually like really cool to see, that everyone is growing from this nobody wants this experience, and they're kind of letting go, which I kind of put as the theme, as letting go of like judgment, letting go of like bad things or people in their life, and letting go and having faith, because you don't know what the future holds for you, and that's the whole point. The other thing I wanted to mention is the therapists. This is a prime example of why I'm not on board with modern therapy, okay? I knew from the beginning that these therapist people were like not good people. Like it's like one of those things where like anybody can become like a therapist, but I feel like these people should not be just handing out advice, like the affirmations and the manipulation that's happening. Like it's so blatant in this show, and I'm just like, and I like how Joanne's like, you need to get away from these people. These people are not healthy for you. So it's really cool to see that change too in Joanne, and her perspective is changing, because sometimes when I watch the show, particularly this season, is that I feel, because sometimes Morgan and Joanne lacked tact, it's like you could tell how like far from reality some people do live. And I just don't know if that is just like Los Angeles as a whole, because I've never been to California. I don't know. But the way that like the podcast is, like you're super vulnerable on a podcast, it's like they don't really respect people who aren't necessarily vulnerable about things. And it's like, well, not everyone is open book. And just because you're willing to share everything doesn't mean you should expect everyone else to share everything. So yeah, it's been an interesting season. Let me just say that. And the ending was really interesting too, because it was kind of similar to the first one, but back with my letting go theme that I had, is that I feel like Noah is like letting go of I don't say like pushing Joanne in Judaism, but like realizing that I love her so much that I don't want to let her go. And it's about, is he going to sacrifice her converting? And it seems like that might be it. It could be that he's now okay with her not converting. And it'll be interesting to see how it goes going forward, because can he only marry someone who's Jewish? I don't know. I don't know much about Judaism to comment on that, but it'll be interesting to see if they can even go through with a marriage. That's it for my thoughts on Nobody Wants This Season 2. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.